Project Geeta is one of our major initiatives. And probably this is the first time we are doing this kind of session for Geeta. This is a very systematic, time-bound session. And here we are not interested in any historical event. Here we are not interested in any religious aspect. The goal here is, how do I change myself so that tomorrow I'll be a little bit better person, right? We are not promising that tomorrow you will be a self-realized master, but at least some minor changes. They call kaizen, right? A small change. That small change can make a huge dividend it can give you. So how can I be a little bit more happier? How can I reduce my stress a little bit? How can I relate with my kids a little bit better? How can I talk to my colleagues? How can I bring a little bit more smile in me, and also how do I spread that smile in front of others, right? When I smile, more people come and talk to me. So how can I, typically people, yeah. So Swami Chinmayananda used to say there are two kinds of people. Some people, like everybody wants to be, wherever they go, they bring happiness. The other kind of people are what? Whenever they go, people are happy. So whom do you want to be? So that's the goal. So that's the goal of this session. So let's do that. If anybody is interested in learning the chantings and pronunciation, maybe at 6 o'clock or 4:30 we can meet and do. So this is how we are going to do. So this is the summary. We are going to analyze all the 700 verses in a very logical and scientific way, connecting to the life. So we will bring out all the scientific management connections here, like if there is something in neurology talking about this particular aspect, when you studied Yoga Sutra, you have seen, right, so much of connections with the neuroscience. That's exactly what we are going to do here. Bhagavad Gita and Yoga Sutra are complementary books. It just talks the same thing. One is 700 verses, the other one is 196 verses, that's all. Then actually, what we are going to do is we are going to present it in a very modern context, because it's not going to be a very traditional style of learning. How to do a business presentation, that's the goal. But the content is going to be the same. And actually, then the third thing is, today itself we are going to see, we are going to see the meaning of Bhagawan, one word. You can always explain that in a very religious way, but we are going to connect that with the practical examples and real life. Otherwise you won't relate to that. It will remain as a concept. Who needs concept? You need real example. So that's what we are trying to do. That is going to be our approach. So typically, right, people go to Geeta when I'm a little bit depressed, I just go and randomly open a verse and find some consolence. That's what typically people do. No, this book has a different purpose. The purpose is to transform me. Transform me and bring out the best in me. Each one of us has a best version in our life. Most of you might have experienced that at some point or the other, right? Sometimes you feel that, okay, I'm doing good, I'm fantastic, I'm in a flow. But it's not in my hand. There are so many XYZ has to be aligned for me to get into that flow mode. So how do I control that flow in my hands? How can I be creative? How can I be productive? How can I be stress-free? How can I face things boldly and diligently? That's the skill we are trying to learn, and approach Geeta in that way. Because otherwise, you're underutilizing the Geeta. Suppose you have an iPhone, and you use that iPhone for making only phone calls. That's the example. You have to use it properly. Apply that in our life, and that's what we are going to do. So, this is completely informal. If you're not convinced with something, ask questions. You can always email questions, and we will have some group discussions connecting with some practical example. If you don't want to share your life story, I don't encourage people discussing their own life story, but you can always give as an example or a scenario. We can discuss that. Anytime, if you want to reach out to me or Karthik or anybody, we will be available. The goal is to make sure that we all are learning the Gita. And finally, we are also not experts. We don't claim to be the masters of the Gita. Absolutely not. We are not self-realized masters. We are only ordinary people. So this is humanistic solutions by normal human beings to normal human beings. So no mysticism. Come on. So having said that, what is our approach? So what we are trying to do here is, we are trying to have 20 major topics covered in this whole Gita. So we'll start with a brief introduction of the Gita. So 5 sessions. The first 5 session is going to give you a bird's eye view of the Gita. Typically I cover only 3 topics. Why, what and how. Why am I studying Gita? What exactly is this Gita I am studying, right? And the third thing is, how should I study Gita so that the intended benefits will be realized? So these are the 3 topics I am going to do. Then the second topic is the meditation verses on Gita. So this is the second major section. So another 5 sessions will cover that. And then chapter 1 to 18, each chapter. On the average, 10 sessions or 10 lessons per chapter. I know that it's every Sundays. If there is a long weekend, we can skip. And also, like, if you cannot come, we will publish the video on every Wednesday. We will publish the video of this week and the course material of next week. The slides of next week will be given to you on Wednesday, as well as the video and the MP3 of this sessions, so that you will have all the materials available. Okay, so that's the approach. And the first topic, as I said, like 5 sessions or 5 lessons. What is Bhagavad Gita? We will start with that. The meaning of the Bhagavad Gita needs to be understood, because we are studying something. It constitutes of 2 words, Bhagavad and Gita. So today we are going to cover that. And then we will cover a brief history of the Gita. This is not a history lesson, but since we are studying a book, we need to understand a little bit of history. So when exactly it happened, what are all the various Sanskrit commentaries of the Gita, how it got translated into English, came to this particular country, because in this great country, Gita has inspired so many people like Emerson, Thoreau, Walt Whitman, and all these transcendental movement. All that was inspired by Gita, right? A lot of influence was there, especially Emerson's and Thoreau's writings, brilliant. So it has the flavor of the Gita, and so many good examples are there. So how they got that, all that we will quickly discuss. And then some of the great masters in the 20th century who propagated that, like Paramahamsa Yogananda, who came to this country, Vivekananda, who came to this country, and Swami Chinmayananda. All those people will quickly discuss. And then the second is, why should I study Gita? Is it to improve my scholarship? No. It is for changing me. So we want to understand what exactly is that change that is going to happen, and what is Gita's approach. And finally, we will learn how to study this Gita. Because otherwise, what is going to happen? Swami Chinmayananda, one person went to Swami Chinmayananda and he said, like, I studied Gita 3 times. I have gone through Gita 3 times. Nothing happened. His response was, has Gita gone through you at least once? That's what we need to do. So this is what we are going to do. So this is the first topic we are going to cover. 5 sessions, introduction. So what is Bhagavad Gita? Why should I study Bhagavad Gita? And how should I study Bhagavad Gita? So our approach, we will publish the material on every Wednesday. We will publish the video as well as the MP3 also on every Wednesday. So this video we will publish on Wednesday. MP3 also will be published on Wednesday. And we will give you the blogs also, which covers the materials. So you have everything what you need. Don't worry about the books and all. Means right now I would say stick with one book, because if you read 15 books of Gita, you will get 15 different commentaries, and it will confuse you. Just follow with the book, means with this flow, and once you are ready, you can read any commentary. You will understand that. And we are not claiming exclusivity. Everybody has some points. So we are not saying that one commentary is better than the other, one approach is better than the other, but at least initially let's start with this. And then if you have any questions, mail this to this ID, projectgeeta20@gmail.com. It can be any questions. I'm not guaranteeing that I can answer everything, but at least I can consult with the experts. Then regular Q&A and discussions, like once we cover one topic, we will dedicate one session for Q&A. Like if you want any questions to be discussed or any scenarios to be discussed, we will be happy to do that. So the goal is making sure that all of us are understanding this. Life lessons will be discussed after every chapter. Once we complete a chapter, we will understand what exactly is the lessons we can go and apply in our life. So after chapter 1, there are 3 lessons or 4 lessons. Emotional intelligence, that's a key skill that is taught in the first chapter. Emotional intelligence is big thing. So we'll see what exactly is the emotional intelligence, how we can apply that in our life. So that's another thing. And then every quarter we will have some workshops. We'll invite somebody, experts, and for example, Swami Sarvapriyananda, like that. Some experts from psychology, sometimes it is neurology, sometimes it is Vedanta experts, yoga experts. So we will do that. And then the recordings will be shared. Any questions? Okay. So some request, right? Regular attendance. I know that it is not always possible, but as much as possible. And if you cannot come, please make sure that you are listening to the video or the audio. That's all. You can just put it in your car and just listen it. And if any questions, you can always call me or Karthik anytime. It doesn't matter, right? You don't have to even schedule an appointment. If I don't pick up, just leave a voice message. Definitely in 24 hours, we will return the call. So that's the commitment from our side. And just be the ambassadors of the Gita, meaning not the Gita, but the subject matter of the Gita. Because immediately you will realize that this subject matter can change our life and it can help other people. So that part, be an ambassador. When I say propagate Gita, I'm not saying that propagate the religion. I'm just saying that propagate that helping part of Gita, which is applicable to all the human beings. Okay, so these are the introduction, and we can get to the first lesson, which is the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. Any questions? The thing is, your mind is the subject matter initially. Okay? So one more thing is, when I'm talking, don't go and tell me that my wife is like this. Now I understand why my wife is behaving, or why my child is behaving. It's not to judge other people. It is to introspect. Gokul, yes.
If you are not able to attend a session, do you have like a remote like you did for the Yoga Talk?
It won't be that effective, but we'll give the recordings.
Okay.
Yeah, recordings, as I said, like today's recordings will be published on YouTube on Wednesdays. So you'll have it. Okay, so with that, we are going to start the first topic. Of course, the first few topics are academic. So please excuse me for that, because the purpose of the Gita study is not an academic study. Because here we are not studying Gita to get a degree and or 6 credits or 8 credits. The goal is to improve ourselves. But at first few sessions, please excuse me, it will be a little bit academic because you have to understand the context. That's all. So we are going to start with the first topic. What meaning of the Bhagavad Gita? So when you look at the word Bhagavad Gita, it constitutes of 2 words. Correct? Bhagavat plus Gita is Bhagavad Gita. What is the literal meaning of that? Gita in Sanskrit, what does that mean? Geetam in Sanskrit or any other Indian language means what? Song. That's the meaning, right? Geetam in Carnatic music or the Indian classical music, they have Geetam. Geetam means song, that's it, which can be sung. What is the difference between song and speech? Because it follows a scale, it follows a meter, it follows certain because it don't have these swaras and all like the pitch, etc. But okay, that's oh, sorry. Yeah. So that is the first thing is called Geetam, and the second word is Bhagavat. Bhagavat literally means Bhagawans. Bhagawans. The word is Bhagawan, not Bhagawan, it is Bhagawan. Bhagawan. Because in Sanskrit, the pronunciations are very accurate. Bhagawan. So, Bhagawan's song. If it is a my song, Rajesh's song, right? If it is Kim's song, it is Kim's song. Karthik's song, Bala's song, Mahesh's song. Like that, a song given out by Bhagawan. So, if it is Rajesh's song, it is composed by me. If it is Bhagawan's song, it is composed by somebody called Bhagawan. So now, who is that Bhagawan? God. The religion says Bhagawan as God. But what does that literally Bhagawan means, and what is the practical meaning of that Bhagawan? That is what we are going to see today. Bhagawan, right? So in Sanskrit, Dhanavan means what? One who has wealth. Dhana means wealth, Bhagawan means one who possesses. So Dhanavan means one who has dhana. Bhagyavan is another word in Sanskrit or in all Indian language. The one who has luck. Bhagyam means luck. So the prefix one in Sanskrit, it is going to say one who possesses. So Bhagawan means one who possesses Bhaga. So the Bhagawan means the one who has Bhaga. Now the question is what? I'm just going from one to the other. What is Bhaga? Dhana means everybody know it is wealth. Bhagya means everybody know it is luck. So what does that Bhaga means? There's a beautiful definition given in one book called Vishnu Purana. So Bhagawan means one with 6 qualities. Bhagawan means one with 6 qualities in absolute measure. All of us has that 6 qualities, but if I have that 6 qualities in absolute measure, meaning in an infinite capacity, that is called Bhagawan. So what are they? Knowledge. I have knowledge, you have knowledge, everybody has knowledge. But that knowledge is also limited, right? I always say, what is the greatest knowledge? What I don't know is more than what I know. The more you know, right? If you don't know music, every song appears to be same for you. But once you learn the real music, you will say that, okay, what I know is much less than the more thing I know, the more complicated it becomes. So this is what is called knowledge. Knowledge in the absolute sense. If there is an entity that knows everything in the universe, what is physics? If you really think about what is physics, it is the knowledge of the physical universe, correct? What is psychology? It is the knowledge about the mind. So when I say psychology, it is still evolving. Means we talked about positive psychology, which came very recently. So there are so many areas which is not known to us. So the knowledge, if some entity is there, which has the absolute knowledge, that is the first quality. The second is called dispassion, vairagya in Sanskrit. It's not that somebody who is completely indifferent from the world. Vairagya means viraga, viragasya bhava. Meaning, I'm not obsessed with anything, right? That's very important. When I have that obsession, what is going to happen? It is going to impact my performance. It is going to impact everything. That doesn't mean that I don't have love. Please don't think that that person is completely like a stone. So dispassion means I see things as they are. I'm not attached to that. See, a doctor who can do surgery to anybody, he will not be able to do surgery for his child. Why? The skill is there, everything is there. But because of that attachment. So the attachment is sometimes it's a problem. So if an entity is there which has complete dispassion, only love is there, but that attachment is not there. That is the second quality. The third one is called virya, ability to create, sustain, and finally withdraw. All of us has that ability, right? That just like means I can create something, I can sustain that, I can destroy that. But who has that capacity for the entire universe? That is again Bhagawan. Next is fame. Fame means what? I am famous, at least in my home. Some people are famous in the state. Some people are famous in the country. Some people are famous all over the world. But if there is one entity which is known to everybody, that's also the fourth quality. Fifth is the wealth. Everyone has wealth, but what about the wealth in absolute measure? That is also another quality. And finally, the control. See, your boss has control over you, but what is the scope of your boss's control? The scope of your boss's control is his department. The CEO's control is only the company. The president's control is probably the country, or maybe the globe. That's it. But if an entity that has control over every laws in the universe, that is what we are talking. So we are talking about a universal intelligence. If there is an intelligence in this universe, the laws that governs the universe, the laws that manage the universe, and that is what is called Bhagawan. So this body of knowledge, Bhagavad Gita is a body of knowledge given out by the Bhagawan for the welfare of the humanity. That is the literal meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the advantage? Because typically what is the problem with the knowledge? If I say, let's play the game of telephone. If I start from here, once it comes to Karthik, the message will be distorted. So this, luckily we have this still that we have it in the original form. Right? Typically what happens? It will be translated, a translation of a translation. After 2-3 translation, the whole message is lost. So here it is, luckily we have the original teaching. So now, there is another definition in Vishnu Purana. Means it tells, he who understands the creation, dissolution and appearance and disappearance of being, that he is called Bhagawan. Vishnu Purana, 6th chapter, 5th, 78. Anyway, don't worry about that. This is another definition. We don't have to worry about that. What I'm more interested is in the next definition. So this definition I gave, Bhagawan means the one with the sixfold qualities. It's a very theoretical definition. Correct? It's a very theoretical definition. But let's try to understand what exactly it means to us. This is what I want you to pay real attention and challenge me if I'm wrong. We are going to understand the Bhagawan from a very practical way. So a typical religious talk will give this definition I gave you earlier and go. But we are interested in understanding the word Bhagawan in a more practical way. So I'm going to tell you, right, wherever this universe is, it's a cosmos we call. It's not a chaos. Everywhere you look at the universe, you could see an order. Look at your body, for example. The eyes are exactly where it needs to be, right? The nose, the tongue, the whole system. And look at our planets. I always quote this example. Look at the solar system. The earth is rotating, means it's spinning in its own axis and it is rotating the sun. Imagine if the angular momentum of the earth is slightly higher than what it is to be right now. What is going to happen? You're all physics students, right? What is going to happen? Yeah, exactly. It will skip out of the orbit. And if the angular momentum is slightly less than what it is to be right now, what is going to happen? It will merge into sun. And look at the way the food is created in this planet, right? How it is being recycled. The whole cycle is happening. How the food is going to be created? The light will come from the sun, right? What is going to happen? Who prepares the food? The leaves, right? From the leaves means, and what exactly it consumes for that means in that process, it produces oxygen also. And when you eat that food, how it is digested, you could see a perfect order, right? And look at your own body. Your own body has this voluntary system, autonomous system, and this non-autonomous system, right? So there are certain things which are voluntarily you can control. There are certain things you can, which happens automatically. Imagine your heart, which beats 24/7 in a particular rhythm. If that order is slightly changed, what is going to happen? Right? And when you go to sleep, right? How your body gets healed, how the immune system works, how the climate changes. Every phenomena in this universe, you could see an order. Whether you are an agnostic, whether you are a believer of God, you will agree with me, right? If you want to challenge me, you can challenge me. But this is a fact. Whether you may call it as God, the religious people may call it as God, and the agnostic may call it as a scientific law. But whatever you call, you could see a perfect order in the universe. So there exists a scientific law in every aspect of the universe. True? So, what exactly is physics? Again, I'm going to ask that question from a higher perspective. Earlier we talked about physics as the laws that describes the universe. But what exactly is physics? How a particular law is discovered? You observe a phenomenon and you're trying to create a model and you're applying that model, and if that model is working, that is termed as a law. Maggie, you're a physicist, right? That's how it works. Like Newton discovered the classical physics. It was applicable to all the observed phenomena at that point of time. Correct? But later point of time, what happened? It cannot be applied to all the phenomena. That is how the relativity came, and initially the general theory of relativity came, then initially special theory came, quantum mechanics came, but forget about the specific discoveries. What you are trying to understand or unfold or decode is an existing law of the universe. Newton didn't create the gravitational law. He just discovered it. Einstein didn't create the theory of relativity. He just discovered it. So the law is already there in the universe. Whether we know whether it is knowing to us or not knowing to us. What we are trying to see is understand that law. That is very important. So there exists a law in the universe. And look at the tree or human being or a planet. Every part of your body has some role to play. You have no idea, right, how precisely and scientifically it is developed. Then everything in the universe is intelligently put together. Like a computer or an iPhone. When you look at the iPhone, what happens? You can see that everything is intelligently put together, right? Imagine the camera is like facing up. If you click here, it is going to a different angle, means it won't work. Exactly where it need to be, it is placed. Suppose you want to put something to be intelligently put together. You have to have the knowledge of everything, right? You need to know that, okay, if I put the camera here, if this happens, it triggers B, it triggers Z, and that is how it works. So that knowledge has to be there. And one more thing, like each one of the part of the whole has some meaning. The eye has a meaning, the nose has a meaning, so it follows a scientific law. Now, this law is not just limited to the physical world. This law is applicable in the physiological world, psychological world. What is medical science? How do you discover a medicine? Anybody? Just speak up because that will be more interactive. Clinical trials, have you listened to that? So when you get a particular disease, right, is that medicine tested in your body? But the doctor is confident to give that medicine to you. Why?
It was proven to work.
Yes, proven to work in some other body. So he assumed that your body is exactly of that make. Why? Because there is a law. If that means the physiological law, initially, if that works in a guinea pig, they assume that it is going to work very similar to human body. That is the clinical trial 3 or 4. And once it is done, once it is proven, I don't have to specifically test for Karthik's body or Kumar's body. It's already tested, and that law means what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve a puzzle, right? If this disease happens, it is because of this, and if this medicine goes, it will work. And once that puzzle is solved, it will work. The physics is like that, chemistry is like that, biology is like that, zoology is like that. The challenge is what? Identifying the law. Because sometimes we whatever our identification may not be complete, right? The cancer or the AIDS, right now we are doing research. We haven't succeeded yet, but sometime malaria was a killer 50 years back. Now, nobody cares about malaria. Why? We know the whole cycle. The challenge is we don't know the law, but that doesn't mean that the law doesn't exist. I want to challenge one more thing. Then you will say that, no, there is disorder in the universe. What is the typical physics definition of disorder or randomness? Entropy. You call it as entropy, right? Measure of disorder. But I would say, even the measure of disorder is also within the order. Suppose you have a stomachache It's a disorder. I'm going with a simple example, right? Suppose you get a stomach ache suppose you are throwing something out. That's a disorder of your system. But there has to be some reason why I ate some food which was not fit for my body. So, anytime when there is a disorder happens, that is also falls within the order. What is that order? This food is not good for you. I may not know that, but as long as I know that, that is also fit within the order. So this is what we need to understand. Understanding the order and conforming to that order is extremely important for a healthy life. 100 years back, nobody bothered about a healthy lifestyle. Correct? Nobody bothered about the healthy lifestyle. So rich people, what they used to do, they sit idle and they got all these lifestyle diseases, the diabetes or the blood pressure or whatnot. Why? Because they rub their shoulder against the order. Because there is a physical body and that physical body has to have certain things to be followed, right? It needs exercises, it needs the balanced diet, it needs regular, means stress-free lifestyle. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu. Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 18 verse. The lifestyle change program came only 100 years back, no, 50 years back or 20 years back. 5,000 years back, we have appropriate balanced food, quality of the food, quantity of the food, and right exercises. Viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu. It is there. I'm not talking about that right now, but what I'm trying to say is, whenever we violate from that order of the universe, we get hit. Suppose I go to the roof of this building and jump down. What is going to happen? My legs will break or I will break. And if I sit and complain, what is the point? If I call God and ask Him, why did you do this to me? God will say that I didn't do it. Right? You did it and you got it. If I put my hand in the fire, what is going to happen? The fire is going to burn. That is the natural law of the fire. So, what is the ideal way of life? Suppose you wanted to live in this world. All of us want to be happy. All of us want to be efficient. All of us wanted to be contented, right? All of us wanted to be healthy. You have to follow a lifestyle which is aligned with the natural order of the universe. And this natural order of the universe, religious term, they call it as Bhagawan. So when you talk about Bhagawan, understand that whether you call it as God or not, it is your choice. I don't care. But accept that there is a perfect order or a law in the universe, and we need our lifestyle, our actions has to be aligned with that. That's all we are saying. And this order in religious terms is known as Ishvara or Bhagawan. And in scientific terms, we can call it as universal intelligence. Those who are scared to call God, you can use universal intelligence or the governing body of the universe. So that's what it is. And I just quoted Einstein, the great scientist who lived in your place, Princeton. So he said, like, the basic laws of the universe as simple, very simple. But our sense organs are so limited, we are failing to understand it. It comes back to the same point I mentioned earlier. It doesn't mean that a law is not there. It could be very well possible that human being has not yet discovered that law yet. So this law of the universe is called Bhagawan. So please shed or clear your mind with this concept that God is somebody sitting on the clouds, right, with a big beard or whatever shape it is, or 4 legs or 4 hands. Absolutely not. It is this rules of the universe. It is this law of the universe. Please understand that. This is what the scientific people, this is the reason why scientific people were going away from the religion, because the language of the religion was mysticism, and people find it very difficult to cope up with that mystic language in the modern age. Sometimes these words are overloaded. So in IT field, you all know, right, what is overloading, right? So a table, in a typical sense, it is a table. But in a computer language, in a database language, a table means it is different. It used for a different context. So the religions used certain words which people try to interpret with their normal day-to-day life. It will fall flat. So we may have to go away from some of these terminologies and everything, and we have to understand it properly. Of course, with these original Sanskrit names, which clearly points us to the direction. So, any questions on the Bhagawan, the term Bhagawan? We wanted to discuss a few more topics on this term, but do you agree or do you disagree with this concept of this universal law and the order of the universe?
It makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep, that's great. Any other comments?
So basically you are trying to, when I say you, it's a general population, right?
Yeah.
If you are studying and gathering knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
the way we gather knowledge is by questioning everything.
Correct.
We start questioning and that's how life moves on.
Mm-hmm.
So at a point of time, some people will not get any answers.
Yeah.
And those are the people who I feel that I've been with my friends, family. Those are very intelligent. They start asking questions,
Yeah.
and that's how they grow.
Mhm.
And they become super intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And in life, certain things cannot be explained.
Yeah, but one Gita is going to be very interesting from that perspective, right? Every scripture has its own style. I'm not saying that one scripture's approach is better than the other, but the Gita's approach is you have to question. You don't have to accept anything which is not convincing to you. The final verse of the Bhagavad Gita is what? I gave you all the knowledge I have with the logic. Now, use your intelligence. Sometimes certain things are beyond the logic. Krishna tells in one verse, right? Because we are limited in terms of our understanding, our ability to grasp. But it should not be against logic. It could be beyond logic, but it could not be against logic. Something which is against logic, right? So you cannot just say that X happened because Y said it and without giving any reason. No, that is not possible. So we will see how to study Gita. This is exactly what the topics are covered. Don't blindly accept. One of the great proponents of Bhagavad Gita, Swami Chinmayananda, right? He used to say, longer the beard, greater the suspicion. That should be your attitude. You don't have to blindly believe, because this blind belief has brought the whole religions down, right? So I told you a joke in the Yoga Sutra class, right? So one person asked, how can you go to heaven? So the first student said, okay, you have to help your neighbor. Perfect. Second person said, you have to help the other animals. You have to take care of the environment. You have to do charity XYZ. The last bencher stood up and he said, what? You have to die first. So sometimes means you have to use logic. So we'll see what is heaven and hell and everything, right? Heaven is in your mind. So we'll see. That is the definition of Gita. And you have to understand. So please feel free to ask any questions. And Gita is in the form of a dialogue. And in the third chapter, you will see a question to Krishna, who is supposed to be the God, right? Arjuna tells Krishna that your words are confusing me. So you have that freedom to ask any question. It doesn't matter whether it is Krishna's teaching or God's teaching, which is not questionable. You can question it. But sometimes it would be beyond logic, but it cannot be against logic. If it is against logic, you don't have to believe it. That's the approach. So now we'll talk a little bit about this order, the significance of this order. As a human being, it's practically not possible to understand every law of the universe. If I promise you that I'm going to teach every law of this universe through Gita, I'm bluffing, right? 700 verses cannot cover the whole laws of the universe. So what exactly is covered in Gita? It gives you the essential lifestyle changes required for a human being so that he can live an ideal life. First point is understanding the universal laws which is applicable to me is very important. Because if I don't know, because I told you the example, right? Earlier we don't know that exercise is so critical or the balanced diet is so critical, right? In my childhood, right, I used to drink sodas more than water because I thought sodas are more better than the water. Later on I realized that it is not good. So if I don't know that knowledge, who is going to suffer eventually? I am going to suffer. So I need to make conscious attempt to understand the laws which are applicable to me and follow that. This is very important. So all the sufferings and pains are the results of rubbing against the order. When I say rubbing against the order, what? I am going against the natural order of the universe. So if there is a healthy lifestyle, the lifestyle is do the exercise and do the balanced diet. I am just giving one example. Don't take it as the only law that is applicable. No. This is one example that connects with all of you, right? Suppose I eat only junk food and I don't do any exercise. What is going to happen? If you don't give time to health, eventually it will demand time from you. That's all. That's going to happen. So that's exactly rubbing against the order of the universe. I already went and challenged the natural order of the universe by not following it. So, typically in religious language, they say, if you rub your shoulders against dharma, dharma is again this law of the universe. If I rub my shoulders against the dharma, I'll get bleeding. Who is responsible? I'm responsible. Sometimes unknowingly I do that. Sometimes because of my laziness or inability to apply, I will not follow that. Whatever is the case, I'll get suffering. So that's the second thing. So we already talked about that. Even in every apparent disorder, there is an order. And we are also blessed with the ability to put things in the right order. This is the promise given by Geeta, right? Geeta gives you a promise. What? You will be happy. You will be contented. You will be stress-free. This is what the promise given by Krishna. When? Not when you reach heaven. Right? You will be happy and free now. If I promise you that you will be happy after, means when you reach heaven, right? It's a post-mortem reward. What we want is right now. I want to be happy now. First focus your life here and then focus heaven, right? So that's why Krishna is making a big promise to you that you follow XYZ. It's up to you, right? And he's not asking you to follow. It's not a commandment. He's saying that follow XYZ and you will be benefited. There's a brilliant book in Tamil called Tirukkural. You all might have learned that. The whole teaching of this lifestyle change program of the Gita, you can see exactly like that in Tirukkural. And the Thiru Mandiram, there is another book. I'll call those out later, but all the teachings comes from different parts of the country or the India, ancient India, points out the same fact. Whether it is a Tirukkural in Tamil or a Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit or a Yoga Sutra in Sanskrit, it all follows the same. But what he is saying is, do understand the basic laws that are significant to you as a human being, and then second thing is follow that. It's very important. So the last sentence is very important. We are blessed with the ability to make that change happen. And Krishna tells in the second chapter, don't think that you means you don't have, it's not a binary, right? You means tomorrow all your sorrows will not be vanished. When you practice, you will say that gradually, you will be more happy, more content. And this is a big promise, and you can try yourself. Okay, so putting things in the right order. So recognize Bhagawan. When I say Bhagawan, what does that mean? The order. Second thing is what? Live in accordance with that natural law of the universe. Third, when I offer no resistance to the rules of the Bhagawan, this is a religious language, or when I'm not offering any resistance to the law of the universe, what is going to happen? I am relating to the universe. with the all. Finally, this committed lifestyle, conforming to the law of the universe, will lead us to the happiness and contentment. This is the promise of the Gita. So, from that perspective, we can call the Bhagavad Gita as a manual of life. Typically, why do you need a manual? When you buy a phone, you get a manual. When you buy a car, you get a manual. What is the purpose of the manual?
Know how to use it.
Exactly. So the human system, this is the manual. It tells you the lifestyle. Because typically people read Gita after their retirement. It's like reading the manual of a book after the life of the product. Second thing is, some people read Gita loudly, chant Gita. Practice Gita means not practice it. What is the benefit? It's like reading the manual loudly and not applying that. So this manual of life will give you the essential laws, which is from the order of the universe, following which you can be healthy, happy, peaceful and contented. That's a simple thing. So the literal meaning of the Bhagavad Gita is, we have seen means the Bhagavad Gita can be interpreted in two ways, two possible meanings. One is, it is a body of knowledge given by the universal intelligence. One way of looking at that. The second way of looking at it is that a body of knowledge which talks about the universal intelligence, the laws of the nature, which are applicable to me. So by following it, means by following these laws, I'll be happy, I'll be contented. So let me summarize. The first lesson, we understood the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita has the word constitute of two words, Bhagavat and Gita. Gita means song, Bhagavat means came from Bhagawan, right? So it is a body of knowledge in the form of a song given by somebody called Bhagawan. And when we went and understood who is Bhagawan, we said he who has knowledge, then what is that? The control, then power, then the what is called the dispassionate, and also the virya, right? Ability to create, sustain, and merge back. So he has, basically that is the law of the universe. And we try to understand what exactly is the practical meaning of that. We said, look at the universe, look at a particular phenomena of the universe. You could trace a perfect order there. Wherever, means every parts of a whole is intelligently put together and it follows a perfect law, right? We said in physics you could see a law, in physiology you could see a law, even in psychology you could see a law. Whether we know the law or not, it exists. And we said even the apparent disorders are within the part of that order, right? And then we said these knowing and conforming to these laws are critical for us to live peacefully, happy and contented, right? We all are blessed with a human life and we all have the ability to live a happy and peaceful life. But why 60% of the people are depending upon the anti-depression medication, if that is the case? Why, even if you are not on medication, why you are not feeling happy always? Why you are not feeling contented always? Why I am not able to put my best version in 90% of the situation? This is the biography of all of us, right? Including myself. I am not an exception. Each one of us, right? Under situational pressure, we all fall flat. See, if I have the knowledge, if I cannot execute of that knowledge in front of a difficult situation, what is the value of that knowledge? I still remember I went for the first big presentation and I could do that presentation closing my eyes. But when I looked at 2,000 people in front of me, nothing came out of me. So I was not able to put into practice what I learned. And also the positive thinking. All of us wanted to be positive always. We will get everything except positive thoughts. That's what the practicality. There's an interesting story, right? A king was trying to live always young, so he put an advertisement. I need a medication by which I'll always stay young. So one guy came and gave a medication, and he told like, this medication will keep you young always. King was so happy. But there is one condition. When you eat this medicine, don't think about monkey. King said, that's simple, right? Anyway, I'm not thinking about monkey. So the first time he took the medication, read the instruction, don't think about the monkey. What happened? Monkey is there. So whatever we don't want to think, it comes to us. And this happiness, we will see that. The definition of happiness we will see. It's a state of mind which I can create. It's a state of mind, right? Irrespective of what is happening outside. If I can change my mindset, I can be happy always. But my brain is programmed in such a way that I only get negative thoughts. All of you, right? Just close your eyes and think. How many of the things you were afraid in the past has come true? Most of the things disappeared, right? So there is a brilliant prayer called Serenity Prayer. It tells, right? Whatever you can change, you change. Whatever you cannot change, you have to accept it. And what you need a wisdom. What is that? You need to understand what you can change and what you cannot change. This is the essence we are going to see. So this is the first lesson. Any questions? Nagi, you have a question? Okay. So just think about this, right? The universal order, understanding the order that is important for my lifestyle is very important, and Geeta is going to give you that. And the promise given by Geeta is, this is going to make you healthy, happy, contented. What else you need? Okay, so that completes the first lesson. Next week we will start with a brief history of the Gita. Of course, it's a little bit of an academic subject. One lesson, we will cover the whole history, and then we will go to the topic, why should we study Gita?